I have here with me two former members of parliament, but more importantly, the Director General for the National Lottery Authority, and Kofi Osaya Meyao. And thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you very much, Roland.
Do you go to your constituency again, Esujamai?
Oh, why not?
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yes.
You know, I'm always going through there to Ho, etc., to Pando.
Yes.
And,
you need a visa to cross the bridge.
The bridge. So
yes.
I just wanted to know so that I put things.
Yeah, no, I do
once
go
in a
there.
while.
Not once in a while. If I can, every weekend, I go to visit
your folks.
My people. Yes,
okay.
yes,
okay.
yes.
But you have no parliamentary ambitions.
Parliamentary ambitions?
All right. So I know that you are a former member of parliament. That's a
big man.
But how's the National Lottery Authority?
It's going very well.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. But let me just introduce also George Lowe. George Lowe is a member of parliament for former member of parliament for North Dine. Thanks for joining me.
No more school fees.
No, they do come still.
Yeah, but
no, I'll just be mischievous.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I visit his home constituency very often. I think I'll do that. I'll do that in the next 2 weeks. Anytime I go there, they know that I'm his friend. They keep telling me I should tell him to come and contest again. But that'll be a little.
Wow, so they made a mistake.
Well, Sam, I don't know whether that's, at least he may have had his supporters, etc. So we'll see how that goes. But how's the National Lottery Authority so far? I see that you're still pushing on making sure that you streamline, you do that synchronization between what the other side of the industry is, banker to banker, the private lotto operators, and then the mainstream it into the regulations. How is it going so far?
Well, obviously, you have some problems with change. A lot of people will be hurt by the change, and some will be relieved. But overall, what is paramount is the supreme interests of the country, how we are able to mobilize resources or revenue for national development. And that is my objective. If you look at the revenue that we received that was paid into the consolidated fund last year, we are on course to double that, and I'm hoping to quadruple that the following year. I think they paid about 14 million into the consolidated fund last year, which I found to be very, very abysmal, and I'm hoping that I should be able to put about 35 million into the consolidated fund this year, and then move on further to 100 million. So bringing the banker to banker in line, for me, it's very critical because we cannot condone the illegality. And for that matter, we must regularize that activity, because if you don't regularize it, it is incumbent upon us to take them out. And to take them out is another issue. It's been tried for several years under several managements. It hasn't been successful. So the best way is to bring them online, make sure that they are part of it in a legal way or in a lawful way, so that it can be a win-win.
How is that being taken care of in the law? Because I know that there's supposed to have been a draft. You intend, as far as some kind of a draft legislation, you intend sending before Parliament?
Yes. We are still on course in that regard. But in the meantime, we have the capacity or the authority to license lotto marketing companies. And so they will come in line with that authority that we have to license people. So right now we are doing the registration, intention to be licensed. So come in, show your face, let us know what you are doing, and then we'll go through the licensing process, which means you have to meet a certain criteria. Once the criteria is met, or the terms and conditions are met, then we can then license them to operate. Until then, they'll continue to be legal. Similarly, even the LMCs, the lotto marketing companies, those who are under the current law, they have to also renew their license every year. So if you haven't renewed your license,
You can't be operational.
You cannot be operational. So it is, if you haven't renewed your license, you are just the same as the banker to banker operator. So we have to make sure that the laws are implemented effectively, and that's what we are doing. Of course, we'll have some challenges along the way, but those hurdles will be overcome as we move steadily along.
Well, interesting point, and thanks for giving me the heads up on all that. At least we know some time ago we interviewed you on the process and how well you were faring at your new posts, but now you seem to have mainstreamed yourself in there very well.
And then also let me add that we're having some abnormal wins in excess of like 100, 200, 300, 400% over sales.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We have stopped that, and now
you were having that.
We were having that, and we have stopped it, and so now we have an average of about 40, 46.
Oh, I thought people were working the thing mathematically. So what's your problem?
Well,
anyway, George. But in the meantime, though, a lot of things have been happening. We know that we're told in excess of some 420,000 people, young children, had qualified from junior high school into senior high school. They are going to enjoy free SHS for the first year. Good news for all of us, wouldn't you say? If you're a parent and your child is going the first year, that's thumbs up to the Kufuor-led government.
Well, good morning, Roland. Good morning to our cherished viewers. And it's good to see my brother. You know, we are brothers from a different mother. And I congratulate him on his appointment as director. I haven't seen him since then, and I've accosted him on a few things. You have to remedy those ones. So I'm sure that he's getting himself ready.
Okay.
In readiness today.
You want to make those public?
No. Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Coming back to the issue of SHS, congratulations to those who have qualified, particularly those who would be coming from very poor homes and therefore would need this lifeline. It's something that, as a people, our constitution enjoins us. My position, though, is that I've never hidden the fact that I am not for universal free SHS. That is my personal view. I think that I want to, once I work, I want to sweat, and as a responsible father, pay my children's school fees.
Because you can afford?
Because I can afford.
Okay.
I take cognizance of the fact that there are many out there whose industry or whatever they do, it's not that they are lazy, they put in a bit of energy, as much energy as possibly sometimes half of what we put in, and yet they are not able to earn as much as to make them comfortably pay their children's school fees. Those ones, I agree. But I have not been happy about the wholesale, where my brother, Director General of Ghana Lotteries, if he had his son going to SS, then he say free. I think that it has some repercussions for our educational system. And the earlier we look at it, the better. Because, you know, and I've made this point before, that we are not criticizing free SHS. Now you are finding stories in newspapers where they say even there are some of the schools, there are no buildings. So what is the essence of the free? If I take my child to a school that has no building. I think that we should have graduated this thing, you know, and put in measures. I would be happy if I paid twice what they are paying today, because those people whose children are going to Montessori's, you know how much they are paying? They are paying about 4 times what SHS students. So if after paying for your child in Montessori and for your child in, say, Christ the King, Morning Star, and other schools, and then when he gets to secondary school, you say free, I have a problem. It has repercussions for quality education, I insist, because even when we're just doing doing parts of it. Look at the problems that we've had. Look at the problems that we've had with chalk in this country. Look at the problems that we have with capitation grant in this country. Look at the problem we've had with feeding grant to the schools up north. We are an economy that is on the move, but I believe that we haven't reached where we should use all our resources for one aspect of the education. Because if you use it and people come out and there will be no jobs because some other aspect has been neglected, there will be a problem. But having said that, I want to congratulate all those who have passed and gotten entry into secondary school. We have been told that this month we'll start the free SHS. We are watching. But I am very jittery, particularly for quality. I'll be looking out.
What will quality be affected?
You see, Roland, you see, let me tell you something. Why is it that, I made this point on your program before, that there are these schools, in the public schools, why is it that they are able to maintain some modicum of quality, and yet our public schools down the line are not functioning well and are not producing the results that we want? Why? It's very basic. It's the focus. We have, why? He will not take his child to Kotobabi number 1 and 2. You won't take your child to Asheduketeke 1 and 2.
Why won't I?
You won't.
I went to Ashama number 4 junior.
Then, I went to Afregan AP primary. But today, will you take your child there?
Well, the system has not changed.
But I'm saying that how many people are passing from those schools, and even that one is an indictment on the educational system, because those who are having problems entering SS is part of the problem. So I'm saying that very soon you will see all private secondary schools all over. And when they've started already, most of the British schools have established secondary schools, and me and him and you and him and him and him are taking our children there.
And my child is not going to British school.
Roland,
I can't afford it.
Bojidi.
But if I can, if I can,
I'm just laying some.
If I can more, I would have been the first place.
You see, so yeah, so I'm telling you that rather than focus all of us on the system, we do wholesale populist rollout, and then we go and hide in the comfort of exclusivity and get the best for our children. I don't think that is auguring well for this country. So because our children go to second cycle schools, big names, we pay attention to those ones. When it comes to the general ones, no, because our children are not. That's why I told you before that if I became president tomorrow, first cabinet, I'll start from my cabinet. If your child is at primary school going age and is not in a public school, you can't serve on my cabinet. Because we are making decisions for those schools. We are not making decisions for international schools. And yet we take our children to international schools and we come back and make decisions for the public, concerning public schools. Standards are low. Teacher motivation is low. All the other challenges are there. And yet we are not handling it. Supervision is low. There's inherent corruption because we are not focusing on those ones. We are focusing on the ones that, so we attend PTA in say Morning Star and discuss how we make the school better and discuss how our children's grades
Whilst the public
school, 0. Even how many times that the minister visits the school. I mean, there are too many things that we do. But then let me also put it in perspective. I'm not saying this because SHS is about to be rolled out per se. But government in, government out. It's something that we have neglected and something that we must go back to basics. So that just as you attended as Sherman, just as I attended African AP primary school, and later on Akropong Presbyterian Boys Boarding School, if I'm able to become a lawyer, all our children should be able to become lawyers through the same route.
You're a big man.
Well,
free SHS, I believe is a good initiative.
I agree with you.
Only that in a perspective, if somebody can afford infantipim, then that person should be able to pay some fees for the children. And those who are infantipim but come from parents who don't have the wherewithal or perhaps don't earn enough, they should be given some bursaries. And then down the ladder, well, if it's Fanchinico Senior High School, then we can have those people enjoy.
I don't understand what you mean by down the ladder. You see, every parent's wish and aspiration is to have their child go to school. Basically. But my brother just said, when you said to him, MP for Novdai, he said, I'm no longer, I don't want people coming to me to collect their school fees.
Well, he said they still do, but only in smaller numbers.
That alone should tell us something. That there are some people who cannot afford.
That is true. I agree entirely.
Who cannot afford.
Are we saying
so what are we doing with those people who cannot afford?
Let's focus
now
on
the
them.
question is it a policy issue as to whether the system of education that we give out, we roll out, from the Ministry of Education to the authority that has got an issue. In which case, my brother, during their tenure of office, should have done something about the quality of education during that period of time.
Comes back to the politics.
Precisely. And we shouldn't even engage in politics with this, because education is critical for the development of the nation, of the citizens, because you look at the human resource of the country. The human resource has to be managed very well so that that human resource can manage the natural resources of the country. Because we have the natural resources. But if the human resource capacity is below average or is non-existent, then we have an issue as a country in terms of development. We would always rely on those who have given that human resource the impetus of growth. And I'm telling my brother that there are so many parents whose children are brilliant. Like myself, I went to Atimpoku LARC Primary School.
You're a big man. No.
I'm not. By God's grace, I'm okay.
But if 1,000.
Yeah, 1 month. 1 month 1,000. It's not 1 month 1,000.
It's 1 month
1,000.
That's what it is. It's not 1 month 1,000.
No. If you load in your mouth, you get more than 1,000. So 1 month 1,000. Are you with me?
Now I get the bit.
You get the bit. So I went to Atimpoku LARC. At the time my dad had died, the age primary school. Before I went to secondary school, I was supposed to go to Presec. I ended up at Akwamuman Secondary School.
Because
I had to be there because I couldn't afford
to come to a boarding school.
Precisely.
Presec Legon.
Yes. Oh. It had then was the year it moved from Odumasi to Legon.
No. It used to be in Odumasi.
Yes. Yeah. So I had to be a day student. And the second time I got scholarship and ended up in the boarding house at Akwamuman. From there I ended up in St. Augustine's, all free. If I had that opportunity, why shouldn't the other child subsequently have that opportunity to unleash their talents? President Akufo-Addo says we are all born equal. We should not deprive those whose inalienable right of talent be put away somewhere because their parents, for some reason or the other, are not educated. My mother didn't go to school, doesn't have education. My dad didn't go to school.
But you are just cementing his argument.
No, I'm not cementing his argument.
Cementing his argument.
His argument is that.
No, you're cementing his argument.
Why am I cementing?
So this is the reason why,
yes.
Honorable Sayame, I think you're cementing his argument. His argument is that
yes,
you couldn't have access to your dream schools because your parents or your guardians couldn't afford, and yourself you were not in a position to. But his argument too is that if you can afford, for which all of us here, at least by God's grace, we can somehow afford to send our children to the top basic senior high schools we have in our country, then we should be made to pay. If not all of it, somewhat, some part of it. So that those who had been in your demographics or your status, who can't afford, will be given free access. Yeah. That also, I believe, has a certain mentality and a certain rationale or premise on the fact that we want to free the coffers to make sure we expand educational infrastructure to have a certain linkage to quality.
The fact that you
unless perhaps maybe I didn't get it.
The fact that you can afford does not necessarily mean you can qualify to go. Yeah. Some people can have the money to give to their children.
But that's in another sphere or another vein of the argument.
Yes, but let me make the point.
Please
that if you
are making a political argument.
No. If you cannot afford at all.
He's made a very rational argument.
Oh, please. If you cannot afford and your child has passed and can go to the St. Augustine's, but you don't have the money to go.
Let him go for free. That's what I'm saying.
Good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, let him go for free.
But not me.
But you, I mean, again, by stopping you, your child may not have passed.
No, will pass.
Will pass.
Would have passed.
Let him go.
If his child doesn't pass, you go to the school that will accept him. That's normal.
Yes. Well, so in a way that you push those who are. How do you determine the ratio of those who can afford?
Sir, before you make entry into any senior high school in Ghana, we have a benchmark. You pass currently, by the current status, you pass your BEC. So poor, not too poor, rich or affordable, all have passed, and so have made entry into infantipim. And then poor will have access to free SHS. Not too poor will have access to free SHS and some bursary.
Yeah.
If you can afford affordable, then you afford. If you want some exemptions based on some benchmarks, you are exempted from some payment.
Right now.
It frees up some money for government to expand the facility of infantipim to improve quality.
Understand.
To me, it's very rational.
But whilst those who you claim can afford are affording and pushing their kids, there are some kids who cannot afford and are not going at all.
Yes, we go.
So now we are saying we can all go. We can all go for starters, so that at least we don't leave anyone behind, because that determination of those who can afford, that you are saying the filtration system that you are saying we should bring, will take some time for us to get there. But as you and I speak now, there are those who cannot afford that are not going at all. Let's say it is universal. Let's let every Ghanaian child, irrespective of the status of their parents, have that opportunity to go to school. So it is a national responsibility, using the national resources to help everyone go to have a basic education to that level. And I think it is in order. In this case, it has been a trial before. It has been tried before that in the past, those who could afford were pushing their kids to the schools. And those who couldn't afford children were staying at home. So if now we are saying, okay, Ghanaians, the resources belong to all of us, let us make sure that every child has that access. I think it is in the right direction, and we must embrace it and make sure that the quality does not deteriorate.
Okay, George, now how do we improve on quality if that is the line we want to go?
You see, what is quality?
Because there are fears. There are fears is that the state coffers will be so burdened that how burdensome it becomes could affect how we are able to, let's say, remunerate teachers well, 2, expand the facilities, 3, give consistent orientation, increase supervision, etc. How do we do that?
Well, that is why I think that we should be careful with the rollout.
No, now we're not careful.
No,
we're past that stage.
Yes,
we've passed your argument. Now, how do we improve the quality?
No, it means that we just have to ensure that we find money to do it, because if we are not going to compromise on quality, it means that all the things that even parents used to do, government has taken it over. So now parents must buy textbooks. Government must provide textbooks. Government must provide everything along the spectrum.
You think it will be a problem?
I think that looking at our resources, looking at our resource constraints, and looking at what our policymakers are telling us. For instance, when the president talks about, I'll use oil money to finance education, and yet he's handicapped by the very laws that we have made. How much of oil money are we getting? And if we were the ones that is for budget support and things, if we put all into education, will it still be enough? So I think that there are challenges there. But he made one very important point. That is that it's a policy decision that has been taken. And when policy decisions are taken, it's responsibility of government. You can only talk, but the government has a rollout plan. Let's see how it goes. But I can assure you that there are many people who are very apprehensive about how it's going, because we all know in Ghana that we don't have infinite resources, and that we are also having built resources over the years. If we had, say, we'll carry out free education in, say, 10 years, and so from year 1 we are preparing towards it. Maybe by now we know that we have some money there, and that's doing, like just our actuarial system, we've done some calculations, and that every year in year out we are getting this to supplement what we are taking out. All those challenges are there. But like I keep saying, let's see how it goes. But let me just correct something. You see, I have always agreed with anybody who says no Ghanaian child should stay at home because they don't have money to pay. What we are saying simply is that in other places, and in some of the stuff, I don't want to be mentioning schools, people pay so that others who cannot pay are taken care of. You understand? So that those who can pay, you charge them enough to ensure that everybody has textbooks in the classroom. Every teacher can have a marker to write on the board. And those are the things that we are talking about. So that we can deploy ICT to all schools. And even in this free education, there are challenges because there are schools without computers. There are schools where we don't even have internet connectivity. So how do you ensure equilibrium across board? They are all questions that need to be answered. But hey, whatever it is, this is a policy that has been taken. This is a manifesto promise that is being rolled out. I think that as much as I am very cautious, and I have very cautious optimism, I would also want to give.
Do you have a child who will be going to SS very soon?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I would still think that I will give this government the benefit of the doubt. Let them roll out, and let's see how it goes.
All right. Don't put the cart before the horse. I think that's what it is. How
Well,
do we improve on quality?
Well, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Now, every child has the opportunity and liberty to go to school. Those which don't have the facilities that they require, I believe we can begin to address those issues as they come along. We would have expected that during their tenure, all the school under trees which they claimed had been resolved truly, and that they...
Oh, I thought they said, you keep mentioning thousands of them that had been taken off, especially during the period of John Evans Samuel.
Yes.
Oh, a lot of it has been done.
A lot.
But we still have a lot. I'm told we have about 2,500.
Precisely. If they had been able to clear them, and so we are also rolling the schools under...
It would have been fine.
It would have been, we wouldn't have some of these issues. But because they have not been able to do it effectively and efficiently, it has added to what we are doing. And we have to overcome that. We cannot say because they couldn't finish, we are going to also be saddled and stay behind and not push the children and keep Ghanaian children at home because their parents cannot afford it. So now we are saying go. Now we can then take school by school, each school on its merit. And if they don't have chalks, it is our responsibility as a country, as a nation, to provide them with the chalk. If they don't have computers, it is our responsibility. We know that we have to do it. So wherever we have to pull the resources to push towards that, so that at the end of the day, we have quality children who have been given the quality education that we all prescribe for our children, so they can move ahead. I think we are on track, and it is not going to be easy. Nobody has said so. The president never said it is going to be easy, but he said, as he said, we are enjoined by the Constitution to do it, and the framers of the Constitution must have thought deep that giving every Ghanaian child the opportunity of going to school is critical, and that we have started. So we are grateful to him for giving us the benefit of the doubt, and at least let us roll and then move forward.
Osayamea, yes, taking a dig politically. If they had done this and that, this wouldn't have happened. But we know that after the placement, over 100,000 apparently has still not been placed, and so the Ghana Education Service has extended the deadline by some 48 hours. So you go and access the site, and then you choose from a number of schools. That is, if your child has not been placed, you choose from a number of schools that are available, that have places, and then you put your child there. I'm struggling to have a place for a young girl who is in my community. So we'll see how we go about and try and find a nice school to go to. Wanted some nice school, but it's really difficult. But in the meantime, though, let's move on to the next subject. It's about the subject of the Kenyan election and the Supreme Court ruling we're told has put election observer groups in a tight spot. Now apparently we know that our own former president led one of them, the Commonwealth Observer Mission. The U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry also led the Carter Center's Observer Mission. They've been in Ghana severally, the Carter Center, and a number of them. And all of a sudden, social media in Ghana is awash with accusations and counter-accusations, etc. But let me start with you, Mr. Samuel. The Kenyan election, quite intriguing, if you look at all the things that have transpired so far.
Well, very, very, the length of time they took in coming to the decision is an eye-opener for all of us. Ghana's one took about 8 months. Yeah. And the Kenyan one took...
I think they were enjoying to do so in 14 days or something.
Within 14 days. So the country was not held spellbound to the length of time that Ghana's took. So we have to learn from that.
But I think we did ours also following Kenya's, right?
Yeah.
So yes, yeah. Following Kenya's, the
earlier one.
The earlier one that created
the Raila Odinga one.
That created. Well, this is also Raila Odinga.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So the timing of it was quite astonishing. The verdict, incredible. The only part I didn't like was the president's comments.
Which one? The second one or the first one?
This very one. The president.
The last one.
The president made a
comment. No, he made two comments. The first one calling for calm, and then I think
the second
a day or two.
I mean, calling for calm is
having a dig at the judges.
That they are crooks. I mean, come on.
Oh, but he said it in a local parlance,
which is even terrible. Because the same Supreme Court validated his win the last time, because it was also challenged. And the same court has now said there were irregularities. And for that matter, go back to the drawing table and do it again. How could they be described as crooks? For me, it erodes the fabric of the democracy and the rule of law.
You think he shouldn't have said that?
Never.
There was a candidate who was at pains.
Oh, but then you don't vent out the pain.
Well, Raila Odinga had earlier called the supporters to go onto the streets, whilst the observer groups had even advised him that to rather resort to the courts. He called these people onto the streets. But which one was worse?
Yeah, did he criticize an arm of government?
He didn't have hindsight. He hadn't gone to the judiciary.
You see, the executive power, and the president, I recall, said that he is still the incumbent president. In other words, he's the head of the executive arm of government. So if the theory of separation of powers, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, is to work effectively, you don't undermine one arm of government by saying that those who constitute that arm of government are crooks. By so doing, eroding the power that the Constitution has given. So what he had done is undermining the Constitution of Kenya, which is unfortunate. And we should not condone it, but condemn it. So for me, the decision is clear, 4 against 2. It's clear. And that it should send shivers in the spines of African leaders that this time around, if you wield or you hold executive power by control of the military...
You mean African countries that aspire to democratic tenets? We have countries like Congo, DRC.
Exactly. I mean, those ones, we should not...
They are not part of the equation.
No. And we should be pushing so that they can also adhere to constitutional tenets. And if they don't, well, it looks as if... In fact, Kenya has demonstrated clearly that the path of rule of law, constitutionality, is the way to go. And for me, I applaud the judiciary for the strength they have exhibited in coming out to say an incumbent sitting president who has become a president-elect should go back and recontest. And for that matter, it brings some calmness. Because if the court had not ruled and the people believed that their will has been denied, they would then demonstrate and carry on until such time that
Mr. Lowe,
the opportunity.
your observer groups, they did nothing wrong, should they? Should they be trolled on social media and be accused of perhaps siding with the government, etc., or even the Electoral Commission, which now, of course, is the center of this drama of not transmitting the right result or having the malfunctioning technological system.
Interestingly, when I scanned social media and I saw all the kind of things that we're talking about, and unfortunately for us in Ghana, when an observer group, a Commonwealth observer group, led by our former president, and he happens only to have led the observer group, made up of very fine international diplomats that we know. And then people take a dig at the individual because he was leader of the group. I thought that it was unfair. I thought that it was uninformed. I told myself this must be a bunch of ignoramuses who didn't understand how these things work. Why am I saying that? You see, I think that people haven't even taken turns to analyze the portion of the ruling that have come out. The observer groupings, they have clear-cut mandates, what they go and look out for, that there was no riot, that people were not prevented from voting. So those things has never been, the Supreme Court has never said those things happen. In actual fact, if you look at both the dissenting and the majority position, the full explanations and the full details and analysis of the court hasn't come out. So we are still waiting for those judgments. But principally, you will see that they were talking about the ways elections were transmitted and things like that. And then there's some constitutional breaches. I don't know what those constitutional breaches are because they haven't told us explicitly what they are. But I find it very intriguing that the senatorial, the parliamentary, and all other elections are still sacrosanct. And that they only dealt with.
You think that's intriguing?
Very intriguing, because it's the same processes that they use. And I found it very interesting also that arguments are flying that elections are not won at the polling station. I think that from where I sit, elections are always won at the polling station. So I'm looking at the totality, but I would want to see the reasons, the real reasons that they gave.
Have you read the summary of the...
The summary just tells you that transmission and irregularities. You understand? But I'm saying I want to see, maybe they may give point by point constitutional breaches and why they thought that they were breaches and so, and some of these things per their summary, I think that happened even before the election day. So if some people, if the independent election commission violated constitutional procedures or constitutional regulations and whatever that before, how will an observer group that came in a week to elections be able to tell? They are not there to analyze the Kenyan constitution and tell us whether this or that is wrong.
But those trolling in Ghana is good for the politics of our country. So
you see, for me,
their politics.
For me, the only thing I like about this rule,
because it was the Commonwealth Observer Group was led by the former
but
president.
I'm saying that,
and the former president, we're told, is a main contender in the primaries to elect the flag bearer for your party.
Well, you are told. The man says that if I will go or not, I'll come and say it. The man is an adult.
It's not up for discussion, though. It's just
so I'm telling you, the man is an adult. Allow him to make his decision. Right. But what I'm saying is, for me,
so those making that just want to finish him off.
I don't know if somebody wants to finish anybody off or not. But I'm saying that what I like about the Supreme Court ruling is the fact that, and I am confident that's one of the things the Kenyan Supreme Court sought to do, to send a signal that the position that people have taken, that by all means, once you get elected, the courts will uphold your election, is not true. And that there will be times when the court would be able to nullify your election. So that's a very important signal they've sent across board. So this issue of you, whatever it is, you feel like go to court, now people will begin to see. And this is what I always say, that you see, as for people some people think that, oh, go and pack the Supreme Court with your people. The judges have a duty to uphold their own dignity. And they will only earn results and respect if they uphold their own dignity based on evidence and proper evidence before them. And so it is also a lesson for all our Supreme Court. And all the judges that are appearing in political colors, they should be informed. They should look at the Kenya example and tell themselves that the dignity of being a Supreme Court judge lies in your ability
to
uphold the integrity of the office, whether your political party, somebody appointed you or not. Once you get there, you must do the sacrosanct duty to the people. There may be various angles. People disagree that the will of the people have been subverted and things like that. That's an argument when the full judgment comes out. But again, the beauty of it, where our end is, we are fashioning a democracy for ourselves. And like he said, the Supreme Court has ruled. If you don't like it, you go for a review. If you don't go for a review, you accept it like Uhuru Kenyatta has done. I hear he made a comment. I haven't heard the comment. But if the comment is, somebody said he would deal with the Supreme Court judges. I don't know about that. Is that what he said?
It's quoted on the BBC.
Is that what he said?
Well, he said it.
Yeah, I was listening to him, but I couldn't. You know, even though I speak a bit of Swahili, I was not.
You speak a bit of it?
I did Swahili in university.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So. But I think I didn't. This thing I got was not clear enough. But whatever it is, I'll go and look at.
Una matata means
my friend, sit down.
Akuna
I don't want. So we will look at it. But if those are his words, then I think that it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. It can happen in Ghana. Elections could be annulled.
Of course, why not?
Why not? The last one, it was getting towards that, but
because John Mahama said he had difficulties with it. He could have called for it.
Which one? Not this one. I'm talking about the previous one.
Oh, but that's the last one.
But even the last one, because of this whole
he said the last one. So
because one of the principal
I would have wished that he would
because
have.
we're told that
the principal they are hacking into the system,
because we're told that
came officially to tell us that our system was
the
compromised.
system were compromised.
So
is that so?
Yes. The EC came out officially. No.
Anyway, this is not NDC and PP argument. It's okay.
When we get there, whatever it is, we are Democrats.
When we get to the river,
we'll cross it.
We're not there yet.
But this is clear. If you had issues, nobody.
Just go to the court.
Yeah, you shouldn't. If you haven't been, and you are now, the limitation period with which you should have gone is expired. Let us not make this.
Oh, no. That is why I said we are Democrats. That's why we are.
That's something that I brought up. I'm sorry.
But I'll go for extension of time.
Oh, please. hurry up. Because
I'll go for extension of time.
We are implementing. Yes, we are implementing. We are moving. Yes, and time has started counting.
For example, banker to banker is going to be mainstreaming to me.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
We have free SHS.
Yeah.
One district, one factory is on.
It's also ongoing. Yeah. Ghana is
where's the factory?
Forward.
The one just inaugurated. You've not been monitoring the news.
Who said so?
Anyway,
if you go and dig, go and Google and say, is that a factory?
The factory is coming to
Which one is coming there?
Afwaga will have a glass factory.
We are working. What did
for
they
a glass
want?
factory.
They probably want the fish farming something there.
Okay, on the front page, this one I haven't apprised you of it. There's supposed to be a paperless ports infrastructure system we have currently. I don't know whether you're aware of it, but let me just go to page 3 so that we have. It says that the much touted paperless clearance system at the Tema port, which took off without HS last Friday, is expected to prove its mettle when normal business resumes today. Last Friday was a statutory public holiday because of the Eid, and this also means etc. Now, everything will go online, and according to the marketing and corporate affairs manager, the authority made provision for customer service center to assist agents to use the online system without any difficulties. And we know that at a port efficiency conference, the vice president gave 3 directives as part of efforts to improve trade in the country: removal of all custom barriers, a joint inspection by all regulatory agencies, etc. I'll start with you. Paperless system. What does it mean? It means that no middlemen.
No, it means that the process and procedure is set, so you cannot change things whilst you are going. So you follow a certain protocol, And once you are able to follow, it will give you what you are supposed to pay without people interfering and inflating the taxes that one has to pay. And it's also efficient. It makes sure that things are done in a timely manner so that people don't waste so much time at the port. I believe that is what a paperless intervention means, that instead of somebody working it out, making the mistake, and then the system also going back to work duplications and things, it takes it away. You can sit at your the comfort of your home and then submit your application, or you can go through an agent who then submit the application, go through, and it is transparent. So it brings in transparency and efficiency, and I believe that's what it's seeking to do. And again, change would always come with some difficulties or challenges, and I think we should give them the opportunity to start, and there will be teething problems, and I think we over time would overcome it, and it will be a better system than what we had with paper. And again, it saves us with paperwork.
If you go to the more developed countries, Amsterdam, you go to Liverpool, you go to a lot of the ports across the world, China, it's all paperless. Technology is at the heart of all transactions at the port. And that's the best way to go. Even though we have extreme criticism of the system, it's also because people keep getting gains, and now they feel that what they will be getting out of it will now be curtailed.
Well, I think that it's a great thing. I think that it's something that we've looked forward to. And let me make one. You see, when people say it has been criticized, I'm still waiting for those who are, apart from those who work on the field who are criticizing. I think that nobody on the outside, because this started, I think almost a year ago. The whole process was started long ago, yes, where we all aspire to a situation where we fast track business at the ports, because sometimes your goods arrive and they are carrying them because today they say national security is supposed to come here, but the guy is not around. So 2 days later, he comes, and then after that, so customs must come. Then 3 days later, so something that we should have done in 2 days, you are taking 5 days, you are taking 1 week, you are taking 1 month. That is what these 6. So sometimes I hear even the document where he's talking about where they say there was a mistake, so they cancel this and instead of 70, they say 50, so that some people can pocket some 1,000 cedis along the chain. By the time you finish, the amount of money that has gone, and then they will cut the tax, and what is coming to the state will be reduced. It's no longer on. So sometimes why they call it paperless is that instead of carrying paper from you to his desk, you scan it and send by electronic mail. So by the time you get to the next desk, the document you want is already, so he knows whatever, he looks at it, he keys in the irrelevant information, he forwards it to another place. So by the time you get to the end of it, whatever you are supposed to pay is ready. You pay, you take your goods, you move out. And so that they are even saying that even the inspection is no longer going to be done today, national security, tomorrow this. If 6 people must go, a team of 6 goes, everybody does the inspection at the same time. And so it's going to be one inspection. So all these things are supposed to fast track. But I found it very funny that we made it look political. And that is where some of the people are playing politics. And once we made it look political, even the professionals in the field are playing politics with it. As though, this one we don't, but this has been piloted already, even before the NPP won election. So they were only going through a due process and then international best practice that is evolving all over the world. That is why you are mentioning other countries. And we are not an island. We are one of the most important seaports in Africa. And therefore, it's not out of place that we go for international best practice in terms of, and it's going to inure to all our benefits. I would love to, if I brought in a car, I would love to clear it in 1 week rather than wait for another 3 months and things like that. So I think that's, again, benefit of the doubt. Let's see how it rolls out. And once we find out, or we all agree that it's a good thing, let's all of us come together to make it work. The port doesn't know NPP and NDC cars when they come to be cleared. You know, we must all aid the process.
All right, that's a good thing. And well, very soon we have to end the discussions. But before we go, though, there are two issues I want us to quickly. Again, this one not part of the lineup. It says a South African-based research firm called RMB has lauded government decision to agree an extension of the IMF bailout program with Ghana, noting that it brings comfort and discontinuous fiscal discipline to the market. IMF's prolonged stay gives comfort to the markets of continued fiscal market stability. Given the West African giant's track record with expenditure overruns, live after the IMF program would have introduced a higher sovereign risk premium, the research firm noted. Can we have some quick comments on this? IMF program, now that we have an extension, good news we're told, at least for those who are outside our domestic market, tend to look at it.
Well, as they said, it brings in some discipline, because in the past it would have appeared as though, because of indiscipline, at the end of the day we had to go and bring in IMF to help us bring some sanity into the system. Now the period has ended. We could decide not to continue with them and then carry on with the indiscipline that created the problems for us. But as we continue with the economy not being as strong or vigorous as in the olden days when Kufuor was there, we discarded IMF, and yet the economy was robust. But
you said the economy was so. During Kufuor's period, we had a strong economy. Yes,
we did, and then we didn't have anything.
We recorded, I think, some of the
10 months continuous single digit.
One of the best
until such time that we let go of things.
Okay.
And so things got out of hand through
spiral,
precisely through indiscipline, and so we had to bring IMF in to make sure that we are disciplined in our expenditure, precisely in our expenditure and the management of the economy. Now it has come to an end. This government has just barely begun to bring in the necessary mechanism and the necessary whip to continue with the discipline. And we want the IMF to be there until such time that we become so strong and robust that we don't require their presence in our country. So we are free to do things in an equitable, accountable, and transparent manner. And once that is done, I think we are okay. So I guess what they are saying is not to erode the confidence that the other international business partners have in Ghana currently because of the IMF discipline that they brought in. So basically, I agree to some extent that, well, we haven't sacked them. Let them be around. Let the confidence continue to be with us. Let us continue with the hard work that we are doing. And at the end of the day, the economy will be robust. We may not need them because we'll be capable of managing our own affairs in a disciplined way.
Well, the issue of extension or no extension of IMF program should not be an issue at all.
Well,
but it's an issue because, again, as a people, we have played politics with our economy. We are not looking at the economy. Wait a minute. I am saying that, when we went as a government, when John Mahama decided that, look, for policy credibility, we're going to the IMF, because at the time, believe you me, we ourselves, our compatriot from the other side of the political divide, was claiming that, look, the economy was in tatters and that there was recklessness and all that. And when it happens like that, your international partners begin to lose confidence in you, because your own people who are coming out to say it. Now we have to bring the IMF for everybody to know that, look, whatever it is, there's some schoolmaster with a cane looking at how we are spending, and therefore they'll keep us in check. So then they'll come back and start doing business with you. Remember, they held, foreign partners held so much money, withheld so much support money from us, because of what we ourselves were saying. Our own Ghanaian people were going abroad and giving all sorts of lectures and saying how, reckless we have been as a country and things like that. I'm happy that today they also believe that the IMF can give them policy credibility until such a time that they think that they are. We thought that the 3-year program should end it. But if they want an extension, well, it's within their right. But you see, again, we should be very careful when we are playing politics, because this sends a wrong signal internationally. For our president to come and say that we are ending the IMF program, and then we now go and extend. Who were advising him at the time? Who wrote this, whatever he said? Who briefed him before he went and said those things? I have always said that one of the things I want to see is when my president speaks, it should be final. Nobody else should come and contradict him, or no action should be taken to contradict him unless he himself comes to explain why he wants to reverse his decision. And therefore, before he speaks, he should have all the information around him. Of course, our vice president has gone and said all sorts of things concerning the IMF. I'm surprised today, as head of the economic management team, he agrees that we should extend our relationship with the IMF. Having said that, I am all for a strong, robust economy. That is what matters to me as a Ghanaian. But I am saying that let's stop ridiculing our own image by the kind of things we say. Because we are going on a political pilgrimage even after we have won elections. I think that our politics must end when elections are won and start again in another election year. Within that, let's be Ghanaians. Let's do things. When you come and something is good, just say, oh, okay, this is good. Let's move on. If you say something is bad, let's say this is bad. I'll handle it and let's move on. Ghana is bigger than all of us. And we must always put that at the back of our mind when we are doing our antics and play political propaganda with the economy.
Did we really do politics with the standards of the IMF?
Oh, I don't think so.
Of course.
In fact, my good friend, I think at the time we were both in Parliament, they came forward and said, you mentioned that at Amil's time, the economy was robust, things were going well, there was discipline. We didn't need the IMF until...
Well, we had some sort of program with the IMF. It wasn't... Because the Bretton Woods institutions have always had some... But not on this fiscal discipline. Yes.
Exactly. Until a point in time, NPP was not managing the economy. We had nothing to do with their indiscipline and mismanagement. So it came to a point where they themselves had lost control and had to call in the schoolmaster with the cane or the stick. How then do you accredit us with politics, political meddling? We have never meddled in your incompetence and your indiscipline, which resulted in bringing the IMF into it because you had no money at the end of the day to run. Now, if a new government has come and their program, our aim is to be able to manage things ourselves through our own discipline. Yeah, and not to let a master stand.
It's taking us to 2019, 2020, then we're having elections. That means that the whole of the period we're managing.
Well, it depends on the depth of the destruction of the economy. And that...
You think this one is deep?
Very, very, very deep.
Deep-seated.
Very deep-seated. We didn't even realize that it was so deep until we managed to bring all the...
all the things that they were talking, they didn't know what they were talking about.
Some of the things...
That's what he's trying to say.
No.
They didn't even know what they were talking about. They were just talking.
The magnitude of the
enormity
of the incompetence.
Is he an earthquake?
The enormity of
the incompetence and indiscipline was just unbelievable. And I don't want to be even charitable at this point. My brother here, George, and I, we've had some discussions in the past, right? Which we shouldn't even bring on air. But, my brother, this has got nothing to do with politics, but how we see Ghana move forward. President Akufo-Addo has always said that as for indiscipline, he doesn't want it in his government because he is here to make sure that Ghana first, we move this country first, and whatever it takes him to move the country ahead of other African countries, that's what he's trying to do. So that at the end of the day, the human resources and the natural resources are managed equitably, accountably, and transparently. And that all this playing Russian roulette with our economy, playing games that requires us to get a schoolmaster should be a thing of the past. Except that if we are not careful and we move faster than the international partners and community would want us to do, they would then pull out,
and we'll crash,
and then we would get difficulties or challenges. So in a way,
you think that's a way to go?
Well, I think we've taken
the stability
we've taken the decision, and with the help that is coming with our own discipline, we should be able to get.
And I should say, George, so far it's been good. You see the way the fundamentals are on track or are getting on track, and then you look at the various indicators, fiscal indicators of the economy. We should say that we're getting somewhere.
Roland,
by 2020,
Roland,
things should
Roland,
be in auto fly mode.
Roland, don't be like you are in my constituency and Bobo is going on. You are dancing. You are dancing.
Well,
you are dancing.
I'll come to your constituency very soon, because in 2 weeks' time I'll be going to the peasant in Hope.
Yes, you are coming to. You are dancing too fast. You
the
see?
Bobo.
Yeah, they are dancing the Bobo too fast. Let them play the beat properly. Then you can jump into the free. What I'm saying is that, look, at the end of it all, we will be happy to have all the things that you are talking about. For now, it goes without saying that all this stability and all the indicators that you are talking about are things that have been predicted in 2015. That because of the way we manage,
yes.
no, 2015, but the way we are managing, if we sustain it, these are the results we'll get.
Okay.
So they have come. Let them help to sustain it and move it forward. My only problem is that when you have said nobody has developed Plaza with the IMF, when you yourself have said that, and now you come and you think that there's something good about them, then you should check yourself.
Oh.
But having said that, I think that politics has. That's why I'm saying that
you
they
think
should take
that's
away.
hypocrisy?
Well,
Oh, come on,
I have told you what it is.
come on.
They were playing politics with the issue at the time, so that they get Ghanaians to feel that when they come, they are going to do something differently. They have come, they've analyzed the situation, they realized that the best way to go is an extension.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you mark perhaps rate government so far?
Oh, in less than 1 year, so give them 2.5. Oh no, scale 1 to 10, and you've given them 2.5. Very, I mean, under 1 year is very high. It's very high.
2.5 over 10.
What he's saying is
2.5
that by the
over
time we
10.
get
2.5.
by the time we get closer to the election, you give them 9 or 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, we'll get
Each year you get
improves.
Yeah,
He's
so no,
he's saying that.
I'm not. Listen, I'm one of those who will not come out and say NPP is wearing Dumas when they are wearing Kente. Because I'm
But
saying
you just
that,
said it.
No,
Yes.
I said that
Oh,
some things have started.
yeah.
They are only under 1 year. So
That's
my normal word.
Let's give them the benefit of the
Thank you.
doubt.
He's always giving us the
Yes.
benefit of the
I mean,
doubt.
it's not fair at all to say that it's a bad situation.
All right.
Also,
Let's end the discussions.
No.
Yes,
I'm saying that.
Thank
there
you very
are
much. I wanted
bad
us to talk about
situations.
corruption and things like, because a lot of things are flying around. You know Kennedy Japan.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's been saying a lot of, you know, A+.
Yes.
I was just saying that.
But
Say
you
some
see-
of your ministers and officials are corrupt. It's an allegation. I don't know about it, but we won't talk about it.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful, because I read somewhere that GJA are saying that you guys,
we're trying.
you should not try by. There should not be a trial by media.
You think that's what's happening?
Oh, it is atrocious. It is becoming.
I think that the NLA, you were nearly involved in one of those recently.
It's becoming so preposterous. I mean, the trial by media. I think the media has to be circumspect. You have to also come under the same standards, yes, as others, and that you cannot take the laws into your own hands.
Is that what we're doing?
Oh well,
we're running down people's reputation without
verification.
I mean, Roland, when you go and take a document,
Yeah.
and by looking at the document, you determine that it's fraudulent. It beats my imagination. How can you go to a company and say, I've taken invoice A, and it's different from invoice B that was given last year?
Yes.
So it means that some people are...
Who gives you that judicial power?
Doesn't make
Who
sense.
gives you that?
Now I'm cringing. We have to take a break. Kofi Osayamaya is a former member of parliament for Sojamang, but currently the Director General, NLA.
He's a chief.
Are you a chief?
Yes.
I saw this. I wanted to try you with some
from the
juju and see whether...
He's a chief in the voter. Aflau.
Which part?
Aflau.
Aflao.
Yeah.
He was installed after. He is a replacement for Comrade Dumont.
Okay. George Lowe is a former member of parliament for North Dying. I said, but both of them are lawyers too, and that's a good thing about it. And they are saying media, we shouldn't be trying people by. Anyway.